would you have for couples who are quarantining right now?
Whew. Coping with coupling in the corona era. It's such a challenge. We're spending more time together. But the advice is, and I asked my wife this question, is to be kind. How about that? Be kind and listen. Just start there. Be kind and listen.
Awesome. So how do you sort of save your sanity in this? I know a lot of people are, in quarantine for weeks now, 2-3 weeks even in some cases. How do you sort of, check in with your mental health?
Well, there's a lot of things we can do. It's important to take care of yourself. It's important to have some structure. This raises a whole lot of feelings for people, so people feel anxious and.
I'm so sorry. I'm scared this is going to keep on happening with my camera. We'll see.
That's okay. That's all right.
Let me turn the lighting in here. That might be better. Try to fix that. Awesome. That's better.
Good.
Yeah. So I know it's been 2 or 3 weeks for a lot of people. How do you keep in check with your sanity?
Well, feelings are important. We're feeling creatures. We need to pay attention.
I'm just going to have to prop this up somehow. Let's see if this works.
You need a little pencil or something? Yeah.
Yeah, I might have to do that. Great. There we go. That should work.
Good.
Awesome.
Got it.
Do that again?
Sure. No, after spending several weeks together, we need to be creative with our time, but we're feeling creatures, so the feelings have been difficult during this. Everybody has felt some pressure, so we need to be kind to each other, paying attention to those feelings. I need to take care of my feelings. We all need to take care of our feelings, and then be thoughtful. Be thoughtful about what you're going to do for each other, what you're acting on, and what you're managing yourself. So it's pretty much a very clear progression. Notice how you're feeling. Think about the reasons for those feelings, and then perform the right action following that. Try to do nice things, to listen to each other.
Yeah.
And be kind to each other.
Awesome. And let me fix the camera angle one more time. Sorry, it's sort of a learning curve right now with technology.
It is. I agree. I've been doing some Facebook things myself, and there's been a learning curve with, backgrounds, lighting, my dog interrupting me, those kind of things.
Of course, yeah. Actually, I'm just going to put my phone case back on.
Uh-huh.
It's not as pretty with the phone case, but it'll work. There we go.
Tape.
Yeah, I just put the phone case back on, and it helped a little bit.
No, I was just thinking good old-fashioned Scotch tape might work. I guess that would be ugly if you double loop it and.
Yeah. Awesome. And so what advice would you have, for separating we time versus me time? I know that's a question a lot of people have been asking right now.
Wow, we were talking about that here at our house, and how some of us are more touchy-feely, some of us need a little bit more isolation time, and we've all got to pay attention to finding the right balance in those things. Within families, it happens in couples, it happens in families, so some children want to go to their room and isolate there, and that's wholly appropriate. It's fine to get some time alone, but we also need to spend some time together. So having dinner together is a really important thing to do all the time, especially now. Try not to eat every meal in front of the TV, but move that meal around. Eat it in a different place, maybe out on the deck, on the porch, or even outside if you can. So a lot of things we can do together as families to be together, but we also need to honor some time apart.
Awesome. And so what would you say for routines? I know a lot of people are now working from home and having to find that schedule. So what would you say for a routine right now for couples?
Yeah, well, I think a structure is really structure is important. Having a time to do certain things, to be apart, to work, to come back together, maybe to schedule your breaks together if you're in the house together, just to talk and then to go back to work, or schedule meals together, or even scheduling some walk around the neighborhood, around the yard. There's a lot of things to do together, but a routine is really important. Structure is important. Structure will lower your anxiety for sure. the more structure you have, the less anxiety you will have. So increased structure, decreased anxiety.
Awesome. And I know a lot of people are viewing this whole quarantining situation as a negative thing, but there's also some positives. I know this is an opportunity for many couples to, grow together. Could you talk about that?
Oh, absolutely. It's a great, we have more time to think about things. So doing things together, doing a puzzle together, doing some project around the house. A lot of folks are putting their gardens in. We have been working on our garden. To do Bible studies together, or do your own little mini book club together. Yeah, there's a lot of creative things we can do right now. I'm sure a lot of folks are binging on different series on TV, and those are fun things to do together.
Awesome. And then also, how do you stay in check with your mental health during all of this? Because not just for couples, but also just for individuals.
Yeah, staying in check with mental health is so important, and that's why we got to design in some time alone to pay attention to our feelings, but don't be led around by the nose by our feelings. We need to think about, where does that feeling come from? Journaling is a great idea. Calling an old friend is a great idea. I'm staying in touch with my friends, calling them up, and if something comes up for us to talk about, it does. It doesn't have to. But keeping in check with your mental health now is really important. So meditation time, learning some yoga, try a yoga online class, or maybe you've got those old VHS yoga. You may even have some of that. So a lot of good things to do with our personal time, but then we're designed to be connected too. So we got to work a little bit harder at being connected to friends and family and those kind of things.
Yeah, a lot of comments we've been getting, and people just talking to us and sending messages to the newsroom. They're like, we are stuck in one room with my significant other all day. And of course, they get annoying after a while, anytime. How do you sort of deal with that?
Yeah, well, it's always a negotiation. In couple counseling, you're always going to have, in a real simple language, a pursuer and a distancer. Somebody who wants a little more space, somebody who wants a little more closeness. And you got to find the perfect tension between those two, and that's a challenge. The perfect tension is both people are equally unhappy, but that's all right. It's like, you're close enough or you're far enough. We need to be able to honor each other's needs in that stuff. It's a great standoff to find how much space do you need, or how much closeness do you need, and then to listen again and to be kind and give each other what the other person needs, not demanding what I need.
Awesome. And then also, I think that's all of my questions for couples. What other advice? Do you have anything else you'd like to add in terms of couples?
It's such a good time. I've been talking to some different business folks and individuals. It's really a good time to build in some strength in both your personal life and in your business life. A lot of businesses are using this as a positive time to strengthen their business. And of course, all of us as individuals have a chance to strengthen ourselves individually, to do more intentionally what we want to be doing. I hope you're not lazy. I hope you're not bored. This is a great time to be doing exactly the things you want to do. If you don't know, take some time, think about it, and just try to let yourself find the thing you want to do and do that. It'll be exactly the right thing to do.
That's awesome. And then also, I know when we spoke last about staying in check with your mental health, that was sort of before this sort of progressed, the COVID situation. Could you explain to me, I know you were talking about hobbies and finding that one hobby and building on it. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, well, there's so many different things. I'm somebody who likes to do a lot of different things. So everybody has their own interest: reading, gardening, puzzles, building your business, writing, working out. There's tons of different things to do, and and that's where structure comes in. To decide I'm going to do that, we can be really lazy and plan to do it and never get to it. So to set yourself a time frame and get to that would be really important. The thing I've been thinking about is there the grief response to this pandemic adjustment we're going through? There was the shock, denial, anger, bargaining. We know those grief responses, and I'm trying to figure out what is the response we're all having to this changed world we're living in. I'm trying to figure that out. I haven't figured it out yet, but there's something interesting there that I want to try to nail down. I shouldn't be telling you about it yet. I'll tell you about it, Ashley, when I figure it out. How about that?
That sounds good. this, and one of the sad statistics right now is they are seeing an increase in domestic violence.
Woo, yes, Ashley, I do a lot of work with domestic violence, and I know Sheriff Davis is on top of that. And yes, it's two sides of that. We know there's more domestic violence and there's less child abuse being reported, which means child abuse is still happening and maybe on the rise, but these kids aren't in school and aren't being watched over. So we're probably missing a lot of that stuff. There is a lot of tension in homes. People live in small spaces. You're right about that. And there's a lot of friction and tension in that small space. So I'll just go back to say, try to be kind, try to listen, try to love the other person and meet their need, and don't be so demanding in your frustration. We've all got buttons, we've all got triggers, but don't blame the other person for those buttons and triggers. Just own them. It's like, you know, that affects me, and how do I need to deal with that button that feels pushed right now? How do I need to cope with that thing inside me that feels triggered? And not blame the other person. They didn't mean to do it. It's not their fault that it happened. They're not trying to do it. It's my responsibility to cope with my feelings. And because they were triggered, I've got a chance to learn something about myself. That's a good thing. Just don't act it out.
Yeah. And then also, what advice would you have for parents right now, especially parents of teens? I was actually talking to one of my coworkers. He has a 16-year-old. He's just able to drive. Technically, he can make his own choices about when to drive off and hang out with his friends, but there's social distancing. What advice do you have for parents of teens, especially?
Wow. What a huge problem. And, you know, we've got to allow our children to express themselves, and it takes a whole lot of patience on the parents' part. Parents are always in this dynamic tension of letting go. We're always letting go of these children and letting them become themselves. And it's harder for some of us to let go. It really does boil down to trusting your child and knowing who they are and what they can do. So there's a tension there. You don't want to let them go too much, but if you hold too tight, they'll rebel against that. So a whole lot of patience, some creativity, a lot of talking with each other, and just trying to sit down and talk and really listen on both sides. And that'll quickly get tense, but try to stay there, stay a little bit longer, try to love a little bit harder and say, I really am trying to figure this out with you, and we need to figure it out together. But it's hard. It is really hard.
What about routines, especially with teens? Of course, they're having to take classes online right now, so they're in the household all the time, and also you're having to work. What advice would you have for like structuring a routine with a teenager?
Ashley, we are all now saying, God bless teachers, right? Every parent has become a teacher and is now hearing what every teacher already knew and parents have complained about. So structure is important to set up some reasonable kind of academic day that maybe they can get everything done between 9 and 12 in the morning, or maybe they sleep a little bit later and they start school work at 1. Maybe the teacher has them coming on at 10 o'clock. But you can't do your homework between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. That's not going to work. It needs to be a reasonable school day, and everybody needs to agree on it. You know, negotiate what's going to work best for our family and for you, and getting your schoolwork done. But yeah, that routine needs to be important. Just like school, there's time for class, there's time for a little break, there's time for lunch, there's time for a little bit of sports or something. So figure all that in to your day. Yeah. Oh, and a space. You know, there's got to be, it's even got to be almost like a sacred space to sit down in some small space, whatever that corner is, that dining room table, whatever it is, not with the TV on, but to do your schoolwork. Sit there and do your schoolwork and leave it laying out. You don't really have to clean that up. You can just keep going there at your workspace.
Also, how important is it with space for couples? That's one thing we're hearing a lot, especially with both of them working at home in many cases. How important is that?
You know, the thing I've been curious about is Wi-Fi capability. Do we have enough Wi-Fi capability in our house? You know, in our house for the people here to work. Everybody needs their own space. And if there's just one computer, then maybe you have to schedule that and be flexible with each other about what work times need to be. But it goes back to being kind and listening and talking to each other and trying to hear what the other person needs. And it's always that challenge is to meet the other person's needs instead of being selfish and saying it's about me.
And one thing that I'm hearing out of all of this is communication is really key, especially during this time. Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yes, some of us are better communicators than others. Some of us are better at blaming than others. Some of us are a little bit better at being a victim than others, and those things all come into play. I know how I play those parts at our house. Yeah, being able to just sit and talk and take some of the emotion out of it, and try to be thoughtful, reasonable with each other, rational with each other, and say, but you know, the tension isn't the problem. It's just here. So let's work out what we have to work out. What's reasonable in our space. But it takes listening. You probably need to listen more than talk. But both sides have to do their part.
So, and then anything else you would add about, you know, families quarantining right now?
Well, I'm grateful. I've got a great place to quarantine. We have some space here, which is good, and I do think about folks who are in apartments, and maybe you've got a front porch or maybe you've got a back deck. We do need space to get away from each other, and we need to allow each other space, however that is, either physical space or emotional space, to not be like a bird dog asking to play all the time. That Jack Russell is saying, you know, throw the ball, throw the ball, throw the ball, throw the ball. We got to give each other space and listen. It's like, I need some space, and the other person needs to say, okay, I hear you, and I can do that. Easy peasy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then I think that's everything. Do you have anything else to add?
I don't think so. Thank you so much, Ashley. Good to talk to you.
Thank you so much. We're really excited about this story, and I know a lot of people have been asking us to do a story like this, so we're really happy that we were able to talk to you on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna do some kind of marriage seminar webinar for free for Facebook sometime. I hadn't scheduled it, so don't worry about it. But a lot of people are dealing with this kind of stuff, so I'm going to try to meet that need.
Awesome. Well, let me know whenever you do that, and we'd love to get the word out about it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, hey. Did you listen? I hope I said something that was worthwhile. Have a good day.
Who'd you interview with?
Ashley Webb at WMAZ.